Hi everybody, happy Friday, happy Good Friday. I wanted to go ahead and share with you about meal prepping and kind of how I get everything going to be successful for something, especially at times like during times like a detox. This is generally my rule of thumb, or kind of how I manage my household and how I have been able to maintain a lifestyle of clean eating and whole foods and that type of thing. Because I do find that when I don't kind of stick with the plan, things don't go nearly as well, and our healths are affected by that. So first thing, keep in mind that you need to eat at any time during any given day. And so one of the biggest things is, well, I don't have time to meal plan and I don't have time to meal prep. And so then my response would be, well, then how are you eating? Because at some point you do need to get food, whether it be a drive-through, whether it be, now there's Uber Eats or those types of things. Either way, you do have to take some physical time to get that done. So it's just a matter of you realigning how you spend your time. And I can assure you, for somebody who started doing this in a time when, like I mentioned before, or I'm not sure if I've mentioned before, but let me just go ahead and take you back. When I started this healthy and fit lifestyle, and when I started this specific coaching business, I was working outside of the home about 30 hours. I had to take, because finances were really, really tough, I actually had to take my children with me. I had 2 boys at the time. And I cleaned houses, and I cared for women, one of which who had cancer, and also another woman who she needed for me to help care for her inside of her home. So you can imagine that alone really wore me out, and it was a very, very trying time. I always made sure I had my food prepped before I went, because of course I couldn't stop and pick up food for my children because finances didn't allow for that. And when I know kind of what's in food and that type of thing, you really, for me personally, it really limits my options as far as eating out. So during that time, I was working 30 hours, so almost full time, had my children, taking them with me to work. I also homeschooled my older son 3 days out of the week. He goes to a charter, so he goes to school 2 days out of the week. So homeschooling your child alone is a huge responsibility in itself. And then I wanted to take on the endeavor of helping to coach others and change their lives. So I was also working from home doing that. So time was definitely limited. But it was one of the times that I actually found that meal prepping actually really worked in my favor. Yes, it took a little bit of time to prep. Every 1 to 2 days, you spent maybe an hour to an hour and a half, and it does take time at the beginning. But then once you get the groove of things, it's really quick, and you learn that you can prep certain things and then walk away and then come back and walk away. So it's really not like you're sitting here on the countertop doing all of those things, depending on how you prep. But for a detox specifically, a lot of what you're choosing to do is minimal cooking. So you really are not going to, it's just a matter of, if you want to do meal prep containers, you can choose to do that. I have meal prep containers that I will be using. So I would share with you in links below the ones that I chose to go with. They're nothing fancy, but they do the job. And then for me, I use colored containers, but in this particular case, we're not worrying about portions so much, because it's all fruits and vegetables, and you can really just have a lot of it. It's when you start adding carbs and things like that. So we'll go into the containers next week and kind of let you know how I worked all of that out. But I just wanted to share with you a little history on when I started taking on the meal prepping endeavor, and how time did not make sense, but time also was something I didn't have whether I meal prepped or not. So I had to choose how I wanted to spend that time. And so when I got home, most of the time I was really, really tired, and it was so neat to just be able to reheat something that I had previously cooked maybe the day before or two, just reheat it and serve it, for dinner time. So you have to eat. So how you want to choose to spend, how you spend your time, prepping is totally up to you. But taking the time to review, as I mentioned yesterday, review your menu and really consider what is it that you're going to be eating, even if it's where you get a separate piece of paper and just write out what you're going to eat for the day. And maybe this is too overwhelming for you. Choose, you know, Monday, okay, this is what I'm going to have, and have that ready. If you need to take it day by day, then do it that way, especially if you are working outside of the home. So what do I prep? I prep about 1 to 2 days because I like to keep freshness. Especially with lettuce, if you're going to be chopping up lettuce and you're not getting like bagged lettuce, it definitely can start turning brown, and it just doesn't look as attractive, and the taste isn't as great. So for me personally, I do about 1 to 2 days of prep. And the way it looks, let me just give you a scenario. So for breakfast, it's smoothie. Or Shakeology if that's what you're choosing to do. So you really have minimal prep. You can maybe have some frozen fruit that you mix in there if you'd like, some greens, which is usually like a bag, you know, a spring mix or spinach or something like that. So that, again, it's minimal. You really don't have to prep for that. But if you wanted to, you could measure out and put in baggies like your frozen, basically your spinach, and add it to your frozen fruit and have individual bags of those. And that way you can just drop that into your Ninja NutriBullet or something like that. Totally up to you. So you really don't have a lot of prepping to do as far as breakfast goes. So let's just say that you go and you choose to do the snack for, it's called, on Monday, happens to be peanut butter and chia seed bars. That would be something I would look up the recipes. So this, for instance, I'm going to the store tonight, so I'm going to be prepping tomorrow, probably afternoon. Late morning to early afternoon, I will be prepping during my son's nap time. And so I'll be prepping the peanut butter and chia seed bars because if I'm not mistaken, you prepare them and you refrigerate them and then they're ready. So I'm gonna have that ready, and I'm gonna have that ready essentially, hopefully, for the week, if not for at least 3 days, because again, I'm prepping not only for myself but for my family. So that would be something that I would spend the time, look up the recipe, because it's going to be impossible for you to be at work if you're working or outside of the home and quickly grab that if you don't have it already prepared. So I would take the time and prepare that. Your garden salads, what you can do is use your prep containers if you already have them. If you don't have them, I wouldn't stress over it. Just go to the store and buy some, you know, Rubbermaid brand containers and have a few containers of prep salads, and the salad does stay fresh for up to 2 days. So I chop up, you know, rough chop my lettuce, and then layer it with whatever it is that you're wanting to prepare with. If you have an issue with them being mixed and, you know, kind of juices being mixed together, do individual baggies or individual containers within that large container. But I really, really would encourage you to have your salads ready to go. And I will be sharing pictures and comments below as I start prepping things. I'll share them underneath so that you can kind of get a visual of what that looks like for me in my home. Avocado, even if you slice it open, if you slice it and squeeze a little bit of lemon juice, it actually stays very fresh looking and tasting. But even if it does brown, it's still fine for a day or two. I would not put any dressing or balsamic vinegar or lemon juice. I would not put any of those things onto your salad until you're about to eat the salad, just because maybe you don't like as much, and that will kind of help with sogginess, and you don't want sogginess with your salads. Another alternative, if you're having to prep for longer than 2 days, is paper towels. Now, the way it works, I'm just gonna give you an idea. My son just did the dishes, so they're wet. But so let's just say if I'm gonna do a salad, this is a lot larger than I would use. I'd probably use, you know, the container that's about half this size. And so what I would do is put your paper towel at the bottom of your salad, okay? Put your paper towel at the bottom, just one paper towel, make sure your bowl is, you know, your container is dry, a dry paper towel, and then put your salad in. And then when you're ready to eat it, you remove the paper towel, and that will help with any condensation that will have been created. And that, I'm gonna use this for another little tip too in just a moment. So then your snack is a choice of a veggie with a nut butter or hummus. So your peanut butter, if you're going to work, if you're in the home, you could probably easily just spoonful that. But you could also get little containers. I have these little containers like this. They're from the Dollar Tree. It's a 10-pack for $1. I also have these little containers. I'll get into the colored containers, as I mentioned, next week. But you could use these little containers and have your snack ready. And you can do it even in a little, like I did this yesterday when I went out. This is a smaller container. I actually put like a spoonful, like a dollop, you know, a heaping dollop of hummus. I put it in here, and then I just stuck my carrots in here. And that way you just, it's up to you. You could do it like this and put your hummus inside and then your carrots around it. Or you could do this with, you know, a Ziploc bag and just have this inside with your hummus or your peanut butter if you're gonna do celery. So it's really up to you. Now, a tip on vegetables specifically. If you have a vegetable that has condensation, that kind of breathes water, it releases water, you want to add your paper towel. So for instance, a fruit also would be like strawberries. Have you ever cut up strawberries and you go to grab them and they're just soggy? First, you want to rinse. A good thing to do with your vegetables and your fruit is rinsing them in vinegar water. You just can fill the sink or a bowl and just, you know, a quick dash of I don't know what the, like, I don't know, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, just white distilled vinegar, pour it in there, soak it for, you know, 5 minutes, and then rinse it all out. That helps to remove, of course, your pesticides and any bugs and anything like that. From topical, not inside, but it does help to kind of cleanse that. And then you can prepare and cut up your like strawberries. I put them all in their own individual containers. So if I'm gonna cut up strawberries, then I would use, you know, let's just say this container, I'd cut up all the strawberries that I wanna use for about 1 to 2 days. I wouldn't do that for any more than that. And I don't usually rinse my fruits or vegetables sooner than that. Like, it's just the 1 to 2 days of prep. So strawberries, it releases, you know, juices and water. So you would put a paper towel at the bottom, and you will find that it does help with freshness. The same thing with cucumbers and zucchini. You can do it the same way if you're gonna prep. We'll get into that for dinner. But so your celery is this, or your celery is one that releases water, and then as well as cucumber. Those are kind of some snack options. For carrots or broccoli, excuse me, you don't want the paper towel because they actually dry out very easily. They do not release a lot of water. So you actually, for carrots, for broccoli, trying to think of any other snack. Oh, bell pepper, definitely do the paper towel with bell pepper. And cauliflower, so carrots, broccoli, and cauliflower. I'm trying to think of snack options that you would enjoy as a snack. You don't want to do paper towel. You actually want to do a little bit of water just for them to still be able to breathe on. Have you ever seen at the store when you're going to get asparagus? They're sitting a lot of times in water, or even Brussels sprouts. I've seen them also sitting in water. So it's just to kind of help them be able to stay fresh. Those are just some personal experiences that I've found to work. I have no science behind it except that it's worked for me and it's helped with meal prepping. So like I said, I prep about 1 to 2 days, and then I go and revisit again and revisit it again. Okay, so lunch was a garden salad, snack was veggie, and then a fruit. Obviously, if you're doing like apples, believe it or not, if you core the apple and put it in a Ziploc bag, it doesn't brown too much, but you can put a dash of lemon juice, and it does. You can't taste it. It just helps with preserving the apple and freshness looking instead of having to add like a preservative to it. So that's an option unless you don't mind eating an apple whole. Obviously you can, if your fruit of choice, or your fruit of choice is going to be like a cantaloupe or something like that, I would highly recommend definitely cutting up your cantaloupe, your watermelon, whatever fruit you choose to have. Do not put paper towel with those specific fruits that kind of have the rind to them originally, because that's just weird, I guess, because this will kind of like fall apart because it has its own juice that it just continues to always have. What I do is I pour, like, use the lid. So like I would use this lid before I get the juice, and I would pour it out into the sink like this, and then I would pour my serving. So that's like if I prepped it today and I'm gonna serve it tomorrow. So yeah, so you know, any of those fruits, I would again put it in a separate container just to have it ready. Unless of course you're at home, then yes, just pour your serving into a bowl while you're there. But I'm just also trying to help those that work outside of the home, because you once you leave, like, that's all you have. You have to have it all with you. Okay, dinner example. I'm just giving Monday as the example. Dinner for Monday is showing, if this is what you want to choose to have for dinner, is veggie kebabs, and that's mixed zucchini, onion, tomato, eggplant. You could cut all of that up, and you could put that in a Ziploc bag, or you can put it into a container. Again, a majority of those particular vegetables have where they do let water out. So if you're not going to use it that same day, then I would definitely put a paper towel at the bottom. But then you have everything ready. Then you can just throw it over a pan into the oven for, you know, bake it or broil it. I actually broil it. I love it because it kind of becomes a little charred for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it's absolutely beautiful. You can eat it over salad, or you can eat it with a side salad. So it's completely up to you. So that would be dinner. And then dessert. Dessert for Monday is pan-fried honey banana. So again, as long as you can eat what that particular, those ingredients call for, what that recipe calls for. That one is pretty simple, and usually you have no problem prepping your dessert because you are so looking forward to it. So that's kind of an example for meal prepping. I'll go into Tuesday briefly because that's 1 to 2 days, and then I hope you kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to communicate. So Tuesday, again, shake. If you want to put your stuff and have it prepared, put it in a Ziploc bag and have it ready in the freezer so you can just quickly drop it into your NutriBullet or your blender of choice. You know, you can do it that way. Snack for Tuesday morning, if you're choosing to follow the exact menu, is a breakfast bliss bar. That requires some prepping previously, especially if you're working outside of the home. That would be something I would take the time to prepare this weekend. Any of those breakfast protein, any of those bars that you're gonna have. So the breakfast bliss bar, I'm trying to go off of memory here, but if I'm not mistaken, is some oats. Obviously, if you're gluten-free, make sure you get gluten-free oats. Or a flour of some sort that you can use. You know, if you need some alternatives, let me know for that specific recipe. If you're wanting an alternative for what to eat in place of that, I'm going to ask for you to review the menu and you choose something in place of that. But then if you have a question on, like, okay, well, I can't eat this, what do you think I should eat in place of that? I'm happy to help. So the breakfast bliss bar is, it has nuts, and you just blend it all together and you refrigerate it as well. So that's going to take some prep time. And then of course, a lot of the recipes that it will say like what it yields for, but it's essentially for, you know, you to enjoy for a few days. So if you have a family that you're wanting to share those with, then of course you want to make sure that you know, double or triple that particular recipe. So I'm going to prepare my breakfast bliss bar this weekend. I'm also going to be sampling it to make sure that's something that we really enjoy, because there's nothing like trying something out for the first time and absolutely not liking it. Lunch, you're going to want, the reason that the recipe list that you have, and you're going to see that you have a large amount as far as when it comes to dinner, because you're also enjoying that for lunch. If you don't want to do that, that's completely up to you. Have yourself a large dinner. I'm just trying to give you some variety. So you can have a large salad like Monday, or you can have a side salad with dinner from the previous night. That's completely up to you. Again, using a container, having everything pre-prepped, especially if you're going to be outside of the home, is a very, very good idea. For me personally, I do prepare as if I'm going to be leaving the home, because I just never know what my day is going to look like. And I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've had to quickly run outside of the house and be so thankful that I had my stuff prepared, even as a stay-at-home, work-from-home, homeschool mom. I promise you my life is not calm and collective, but I do plan for it to be that way, you know, a little bit out of each of my days. I don't want to, you know, present like as if I'm so busy that I can't, you know, handle life or anything like that. Okay, then we have snack. As I mentioned, it's as the same as Monday. Your snack in the afternoon is always going to be the same. It's a vegetable and a fruit. If you want to choose to use a nut butter or a hummus of some sort, that's completely up to you. And then dinner for Tuesday is tomato, eggplant, zucchini bake. Again, if you don't like these vegetables, don't go with these vegetables. Choose an alternative. The heart and soul is for it to be plant-based and not to have any dairy and minimal, if not any, oils of any sort. So tomato, eggplant, zucchini bake. I would prepare it in one of these things, have it ready so I could just, you know, lay it out onto my pan, my cookie sheet pan, and just briefly bake that and have it ready to go with a salad on the side. And then if you're going to have any soft serves that are provided, which Tuesday it says a vegan soft serve, that's a fruit of choice blended with some almond milk. And so just make sure if you're not buying frozen fruit that the fruit that you bought, you did put it to freeze. I encourage a bag of frozen fruit of choice. I'm getting mine from Costco because it has like the tropical fruit that I absolutely love, especially as a soft serve. So those are Monday and Tuesday. Phew, I am winded. Just kind of some meal prep ideas. And like I said, once I start prepping, I will be posting pictures of those said prepped items and to give you a little bit more of a visual. This is an opportunity for you to utilize freedom. And what I mean by that is freedom to say, freedom of choice. You have a choice. Nobody is putting a gun to your head and telling you that you need to do this. This is completely up to you how you want to be successful. And so changing words like I can have that but I choose not to is very, very powerful. Instead of I have to do this, I get to do this. I don't want to do the dishes. I get to do the dishes. It really changes perspective here. So you want to have that same approach when you're eating healthier foods, because it's going to help you to get through the first days, those first days, especially when you're feeling like you just don't want to do this any longer. Remember, this is an honor. This is a privilege. We have so many fruits and vegetables and, you know, nutritional foods available to us that most countries do not. So don't take these things for granted. Your commitment level, the same amount of commitment that you give yourself and you give to this group is the same amount that I'm going to provide to you. So I started with tagging you guys and making sure you guys can see these posts and doing all of those things. I'm not going to be doing that through the challenge group. I just wanted to get you guys acclimated with the group and get an idea of how I post things. But when it comes down to this actually happening, this is up to you. And I can't be in your home and I cannot hold your hand, but I can do it as best as I can virtually. And the way that I know that you're involved and doing it is by you checking in and letting us know. So I will be throwing down challenges and things like that, you know, throughout each of the days. They will vary. There's a lot of fun in this, a lot of fun and a lot of growth. But again, your commitment level that you give to yourself is going to be the same that I'm going to give back to you. So I hope that answers all of the meal prep questions. If you have a pressure cooker, like something like this, utilize it. If you have a rice cooker, utilize it. Any of your crock pots, any of those things, utilize it if need be. I'm using my pressure cooker for my oats that we're going to have. I don't think we have oats on here. Actually, the oats that we have is it's for the recipes, but I am making oats for like my family and stuff like that. So if you're still having to meal prep for your family, which I highly recommend, use your pressure cooker if you have one. If you have questions on how to use a pressure cooker, let me know. I've done a 5-day group specifically on pressure cookers and how those beasts work. Utilize your oven, obviously, and of course your refrigerator and your freezer for anything that you need. And that's all I have for you. So I hope this helped answer questions. Sorry, I had connection issues. I hope that answers all your questions. What I need from you is to post your meal plans in comments below. Share what your plan of action is, and obviously if you're gonna be following this, you know, recipe by recipe, post that in comments too. But I have a good feeling most of us are gonna be having some alterations, and I wanna see what that looks like for you. Post those in comments below. Please make sure that you have taken the time to watch every single video from the beginning of this particular group, which I will make sure to post in comments below. That way you make sure you're not watching the wrong thing. Thank you everybody so much. I am really, really excited for this. Don't let this get you overwhelmed and nervous. This is a really, really neat opportunity for you to truly, truly take a step in the direction of cleansing your body.